Well, hi all. Thank you all for joining us again, end of the day. I don't know if you are anywhere near Philadelphia, but it is beautiful outside. So if you're checking in and it's sunny and bright, thank you for being here. Our goal for today is really twofold. One, it's to provide some context and landscape around Gen Z and Gen Alpha. What perspective are they coming from? And then secondarily, to provide some context around how to reach them and what channels to use and the best way to use those. So very excited for this topic. As Alexa alluded to, my name is Jamie Oleksic. I am VP of Business Development here at Carnegie, have been in the higher ed space for lucky number 13 years this year. And I like to say that I am the Phillies good luck charm since I moved to Philadelphia, and they have been miraculously very good for the last couple of years. And I got that approved from my husband last night, so don't you worry. And my persona is the meticulous and inquisitive adventurer. And with that, I will kick it over to my colleague, Steph.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Steph Ewan. I'm a Senior Director of Programmatic and Digital Strategy here at Carnegie. I am our self-proclaimed, and I really do mean self-proclaimed, unlike Jamie's Philly's good luck charm. I am our self-proclaimed programmatic and DSP aficionado here at the company. I've been at Carnegie for 7.5 years, and prior to that, also had prior marketing and higher education experience. I am what I call an avid baker. I love baking in my free time, which is not great for the summertime as we get into the summer situation with beaches and pools and such. But you only live once, and I am the entertaining and supportive guardian.
Awesome. So let's jump in. Just a little agenda for today. We'll start with the landscape for today and again, what prospective students are facing. We'll go a little bit through the college journey, and then Steph will take us for a deep dive into video and audio streaming. And then, of course, as any good presentation has, we have 3 insights and takeaways for you as you leave today. All right. So as higher ed marketers, we're probably tired of seeing this, hearing this, but it is pretty commonplace that we recognize it's a very competitive environment that we're facing as we're recruiting prospective students for all of the reasons that you see listed here: shifting demographics, financial pressure, et cetera. And I think we can all really easily identify and name our peer institutions and the competitors that we're facing. We've got the crosstown rival, maybe it's the flagship public down the street. We think about all of those things when we assess the competitive nature of the work that we're doing. But honestly, our biggest competitor today is this, right? The noise that is out there in the world that we're having to fight against for some level of attention from our prospective students. I read a stat the other day that we as adults will scroll through feet of content equivalent to the Statue of Liberty every day on our phones. So think about the amount of content that our brains are navigating through and dissecting and prioritizing, and then how we as marketers have to break through that is our biggest competition across the landscape. And so to illustrate this, I'm going to take us out of higher ed for a moment into a industry that I hold near and dear. For those of you that were born in the late 80s, like I was, you remember Blockbuster really well. You remember probably the carpets, the funky smell, the neighboring high school buddy that worked at the front desk, right? We all had those experiences in Blockbuster. And what Blockbuster was fascinating is that it truly controlled our entire experience, right? They controlled what content we were exposed to as we walked through the store and the order that we saw the content. They controlled the device we would view the content on, right? Was this a DVD? Was it a VHS? Was it a PlayStation game? And most importantly, they controlled when we would come back to the store. Was this a 2-day rental, a 5-day rental? Were we delinquent with our return? Right? Their whole goal was really just to get us in the front door, and they could kind of predict their sales from there. Think about how that industry and the way we engage with that content has changed today. We as users are in the driver's seat, right? I get off this presentation today, I'm viewing all of Bridgerton because I've been holding out until this week, right? But I can also start and stop a movie halfway through. right? We are in control of how we're engaging with this content, the device we're watching it on, when we're coming in, when we're coming out. And so the industry itself has evolved to become what we're deeming the attention economy. And this is not unique to just media, right? Higher ed is facing this as well. But what it has created is a world where the consumer, or in our sense, prospective students, choose how, when, and where they want to engage with us. And so we have to react to that as marketers. And I'm going to give you an example, and it's a little on the nose when I say in the driver's seat, because this is a picture of my oldest nephew, Ty, who actually just finished his first year of college. But this was taken on his 16th birthday, where my parents actually gifted him the car that I just 16 years earlier drove on my 16th birthday. And this picture holds a lot of special place in my heart because I remember getting in the car with him and first fearing for my life. But secondly, remembering the day that I first drove by myself and what that experience was like. I had my book of CDs next to me that I would furiously filter through at a stoplight. I had my to and from directions printed from MapQuest ready to go so that I would know exactly where I needed to turn. And I had literally no idea how a car worked. And I had a phone number for an auto shop when something broke. When I think about Ty, my nephew, and his experience as a driver, all of his music, all of his podcasts, all of his media live on his device, and he's able to filter through that very easily. He can on demand figure out where he's going through Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever he uses. And if something's broken, he actually goes to YouTube, figures out how to fix it, and then does it himself. Completely different generation, right? We as millennials were mobile first. We know a world without the internet. And because of that, and because of how we grew into this high level of exposure, we had a lot of trust in brands, right? We weren't overexposed yet. We believed what people told us and trusted in that. And we also would favor brands specifically that had good customer service, right? We just wanted you to be nice to us. And that was enough. And that's the brands that we would favor and lean into. And then our values really leaned into this concept of freedom and flexibility. When I think about Gen Z, completely different experience. They've grown up on devices. They're very nimble, very fast. They're very comfortable. They will do very difficult tasks that I would never dream of doing on a mobile device, right? They have that comfort level. They have distrust in brands, right? They've been overexposed to the noise, to brands. They've been deceived in a lot of ways, right? In the way that they've engaged with brands. So there's distrust there. We've got to build that trust. And they favor brands that are innovative, that are giving back to the community, that have purpose. They also value security and stability. So completely different group. And Gen Alpha, who is next coming, is just an even more exposed generation of this. So we're just starting to understand their behaviors and how their upbringing is changing the way that they behave. And believe it or not, Gen Alpha, the oldest group of Gen Alpha, just turned 12. So they are our next group and fast approaching, in fact, probably already starting their college search process. So the three things we need to keep in mind now that we know the perspective of these students, what they're engaging with, where they come from, is that they are in control and we need to just accept that, right? Release the reins. They're in control of their experience. They're always going to be. They crave personalization. Going back to that Blockbuster example, the way that Netflix and Hulu and all of these different channels have responded to the change in guard, if you will, in terms of the consumer being in control, is through personalization. They show me content they know I'm going to like based on what I've already viewed. That's how they keep me engaged. And authenticity, we have to build that relationship with them more than any other generation. And Gen Alpha is going to be even more of a harsher critic than Gen Z and the millennial group. So things for us to keep in mind. And so how do we translate this into action and into the way that we recruit students? The first is to think about our recruitment less of a funnel, right? The funnel has a time and place. We need the funnel for metrics, but we need to think about our marketing more of that enrollment ecosystem. Students are coming in and out of our universe at their own accord, right? They're engaging with media and then engaging with our brand and leaving and coming back. There is not as much of a linear path as there was in days of old. Students are engaging on their own, in their own way. And so what we want to do today, now that we kind of understand that perspective of students and how they engage, is to give you some tactical approaches. So bringing this a little bit down from the higher level into the actual tactics, I want to walk through a little bit of some research we've done recently where we surveyed seniors graduating from high school to get a sense of when they started their college journey and the channels that they were using. We went right to the source. We wanted to know those seniors that were graduating, that had made their college decision, what did they do to get to the point that they were at? And so we surveyed 14,000 students from all over the country with a really good mix of male versus female, from different socioeconomic status, from all over the place, to get a sense of, all right, what are the things you're using and how in your college search journey? So the first thing we wanted to understand is, when did you start your college search journey? And this wasn't overly surprising to me, this first stat, but it's also really good for us to know that over half of graduating seniors in 2023 started their college search process before junior year. So freshman, sophomore, even as young as 8th grade. 15% of those started before even high school. So that's where we're getting into that Gen Alpha territory. Those are the individuals that are just starting their college journey. And why that is important is that's when we have the most influence in terms of defining who we are. And that's where that relationship begins. So just being aware of that is truly step one. And then the number that surprised me was that 28% of graduating seniors started what we kind of deem as advanced search. So seriously thinking about factors that they look for in a ideal college before their junior year. So for me, when I was a millennial, well, I'm still a millennial, when I was in my college search process, I didn't really think about the factors of the college until late in junior year. Students are doing that much earlier now, where they're thinking about, do I want a big school, a small school, like things beyond program, just those critical factors of what's important to them. We also asked the question, where do you seek information about colleges and universities specifically? What are those resources? What are those things that you turn to? What do you trust that's out there? And this was a multi-choice question, so they could select as many as they wanted. And what we're showing here is the red bar is the volume of how many people selected those things. The gold bar is the percentage that it was selected as their number one information channel that they're turning to. So it's no surprise that college websites, general searches, teacher counselor, those are 1, 2, and 3. Those are always going to be leveraged and utilized. What is surprising to me, though, is if we look at those gold bars, that family piece is fairly high. It's just under 20%, and that's higher than when we've done this survey pre-COVID. So these students, this generation, is leaning more into family, friends and family, in terms of figuring out what college they want to attend and the factors they should consider. I think some of this is because COVID was such a challenging time for these students. I think some of it is that we have a generation of parents that went through the college process that's fairly similar to what it is today, and have a lot of opinions and advice to give there. And I think some of it is just the inundation of information that's out there, and the availability of that information. I also, in this type of question, always like to look at the lowest selected, because while it's not as high a volume of those individuals selecting it, usually if people are selecting those things, they are really important to them. So things like virtual information sessions, mentor, colleague, when those things are there and leveraged, they're usually pretty important to those users that are going out of the way to select something that's a little outside of the norm. We also looked at platform usage. And this has shifted over the years, probably something that you've experienced even in your own usage from these different channels. We are seeing Facebook and Twitter, now X, in kind of what we're calling a free fall, which feels dramatic, but free fall in that it's not being used as much in the college search as things like streaming channels. We also see a rise in video platform usage like YouTube, and videos, honestly, in a lot of the other social channels like TikTok and Snapchat, et cetera. And so to map this out, we really like to look at two things. We like to look at where are students spending their time, and then where are students seeing higher education advertising. So that left axis is where we see the percentage of where students are seeing ads. That bottom axis is where students are spending their time. So that bottom right corner down there is where there's not a lot of higher ed noise, but our students are spending a lot of time there. So we're deeming this kind of the opportunity space. And that's where you can see things like TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Spotify, streaming. Those services are really highly utilized, and it's not a lot of paid advertising noise. So it's where we want to spend a lot of our tactical time today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to my colleague Steph to give us some actionable insights.
Thanks, Jamie. So now that Jamie has laid the foundation of who Gen Z and now Gen Alpha, who's arising, are, and how they kind of change that educational landscape when it comes to prospecting students, you may be asking yourself, how do I reach these users online? There's a little bit of a giveaway since it's on the screen right here, but if you want to go back, actually, Jamie, just so we don't spoil everything just yet. I'm here to talk about today how video and audio streaming are two great options to consider including within your digital marketing strategy for your institution moving forward as a way to reach these users, not only Gen Z and now Gen Alpha, but any online user. And of course, streaming is a great to run alongside other great digital platforms like TikTok, like Instagram that you may have already learned about earlier in this workshop series. But definitely Gen Z has contributed to that rise in audio and video streaming platforms in general. Just kind of what Jamie was saying, they've grown up with technology at their fingertips at a very young age. They want information immediately when they seek it, and they want that information customized and personalized to them. And over the past few years, video and audio streaming has been a great way in order to meet that demand online for these users. So I came across this quote a couple of months ago. For Generation Z, YouTube and social video is really becoming their TV. It's all about Netflix and Hulu and Max. So maybe 5-10 years ago, whenever we were seeking some sort of type of video content, our gut reaction was to go to our television, turn it on, and seek that type of content. Whether it was for entertainment purposes with television shows and movies or news-based purposes, that's where we went to our television sets. However, over the years, there's been a shift, if you will, where those are more relying on their streaming subscriptions in order to get that same type of video content demand met. So in a way, for many users, traditional television has been replaced or slowly being replaced in a way with video streaming. And really for Generation Z and the upcoming Generation Alpha, really streaming television is all they know. Platforms like Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus, for example, those are all have been sources they've been watching video content from the very beginning of their lives. So it's really all they know. And again, why the popularity of streaming has risen so much. And the same can be said for audio streaming as well. With the rise of social media and just devices in our own lives, they have now such a prevalent part in our lives that sometimes there is just that need to escape those screens, which has become screen fatigue, as it's well known as. However, that demand for content, for entertainment, for information hasn't gone away. And that's where these streaming platforms on the audio side of things, like Spotify and Pandora, for example, comes in, because they are able to meet that demand by delivering that same type of content video streaming offers, just in a different way. And our partner Spotify conducted some research that kind of drives this point home, in that 79% say that they listen to digital audio to combat screen fatigue given them by social media. But really, no matter what the reason is, the trend that you can't ignore that higher education should take more advantage of is that users are active on these streaming platforms, and it's a way to reach them where they are on their daily lives online each and every day. So not only when you do run streaming types of campaigns to promote your institution, will you be confident that you are reaching active users, but it offers a unique opportunity for online advertisers as well, in that you're able to tell a story more so online. Jamie already talked about how it's important for Gen Z to get personalized type of content, and streaming types of campaigns allows advertisers to do that more than ever before, compared to some other types of digital advertising that may be a little bit more static, with maybe a static image and some copy. With audio and video ads, you're really able to tell that story to convey your institution's brand to prospective students. So through the use of things like a script, tone of voice, background music, visual cues, a user can see a video ad or hear an audio ad and get a better sense of why they should consider attending your institution in the future. Another benefit of streaming is the personalized targeting. So going back to the traditional television scenario we were just talking about, when you are, if you will, buying a slot for a video advertisement on traditional cable, you're spending your dollars on those who may not necessarily be interested in your institution or even qualified to attend your institution in the future. So not always the best return on investment. However, with the digital platforms that we run our streaming campaigns on, there's so many options when it comes to being able to hone in on the right users and target audience, that you can be more confident that you are reaching those right users. And here at Carnegie, we run so many different types of campaigns for our higher education clients, a lot of different types of schools, programs to very niche segments. That you can be confident that we know what demographic, location, and behavioral levers to pull in order to make sure that you are reaching who you want to reach. And of course, that means a lot of great benefits in the end for your marketing initiatives when it comes to return on investment and efficiency. And then last but not least, benefit number 3 of less competition. So this should look very familiar to you all since we just showed it a couple of minutes ago. But I want to circle back on this use versus ad perception graph from our graduating seniors report, now that you're a little bit more familiar with the benefits of streaming. So in this lower right-hand quadrant that Jamie called the opportunity space, that's where you'll see a lot of the streaming platform options like YouTube, like Spotify, like streaming, that really provides that ideal situation to higher education institutions who are promoting their brand online. With this quadrant, that's where users are spending the most time online, but not necessarily, like Jamie said, where higher education institutions as a whole is putting their marketing dollars behind, which is great to take advantage of this type of trend because you can be confident that you're reaching active users, but you're not going to face some of the situations that you might face on other more competitive platforms, like high cost per clicks, like high cost per conversions. So you're able to stretch that marketing dollar even further. And with digital marketing in general, trends are always changing. Platforms that were popular maybe 5 years ago aren't maybe as popular today in terms of usership. And there's been platforms over the years that have risen in popularity. So again, want to reinforce how streaming provides that ideal opportunity for online advertisers that to take advantage of. It's definitely ideal when it is the case right now because it can change down the road. So in terms of streaming tactics out there on the video side of things, there's a lot of great options out there to include within your digital marketing strategy for your institution. The 4 that you see here are the ones that we run and recommend most often for our higher education clients. The first one being YouTube. YouTube is one of those tried and true video platforms. When users are online and they're seeking video content, YouTube is a typical platform that many think of, no matter what age they are, whether they're younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha users, whether they're millennials like myself and Jamie. I can even say my 93-year-old grandfather, he's even on YouTube. So again, it's one of those tried and true video platforms that spans across all ages. And it's important then for higher education institutions like yourself to have your video content shown on a platform like this, where it is that expectation to stream videos. And pre-roll is another video tactic that works very well in conjunction with YouTube, given that they both are video ad tactics where videos are shown on embedded video players, just where these embedded video players are a little bit different between the two. So of course with YouTube ads, they're shown on YouTube, whereas with pre-roll, these video ads are shown on embedded video players on actual websites. So those are great because it gives a little bit of a different mindset for online users. But between the two, with users who are visiting YouTube, they're kind of in that mindset that they're there to watch videos. They're not really looking to engage. They're really looking to view content, which is great when it comes to YouTube ads for higher education institutions, because then those users are more likely to watch a video ad in full, establishing that branding awareness where your institution will come back to mind when they are ready to either apply or make a decision. Pre-roll, on the other hand, given that these videos are shown on video players on websites, users online are a little bit of a different mindset in that they are more in that engagement mindset. They're surfing the web, if you will. They're looking to click on different sites, pages with insights, and engage with the content. So then when they see one of our video ads for pre-roll, they're more inclined to click on our ad, travel to a landing page, and take that desired action we want them to take. So it's really that ideal situation for our clients when they're able to run both YouTube and pre-roll, because they're able to meet not only those branding and awareness goals, but those engagement goals as well within a video strategy. For connected TV, these are one of the newer types of video streaming tactics available, but it's definitely risen in popularity over the past few years specifically. And it's really because one of Gen Z, but also because of just the technological advances when it comes to connected TVs in general. Connected TVs, meaning actual televisions that have the capability to connect to the internet directly, are more widely available to purchase. And through the use of external devices like an Amazon Fire Stick or an Apple TV, you are also able more easily to make a traditional television or other types of devices into a connected TV device, which means in general, more connected TV options and more connected TVs in households across the US. So when you are running a connected TV type of campaign, you are reaching those users when they are streaming that premium type of content. So if you are running a connected TV campaign, you can be ensured that your video ads are showing on premium types of networks and platforms like Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, and your ads can show against that content. And Twitch is another great platform, especially when it comes to targeting a younger audience. We've found a lot of great success with running Twitch campaigns in the past when you are reaching those younger high school students, just given the gaming aspect of this type of platform. And we're also finding that more of our higher education clients are offering more gaming-based programs, another great way to take advantage of the gamers that are on the specific Twitch video platform. And then on the audio streaming side, music streaming and podcasts are the two core options when it comes to audio streaming campaigns that we run most often for our clients. And of course, within both music streaming and podcasts, you're able to run these types of campaigns on a wide variety of different premium networks. Same thing for video, that you can ensure your content is being shown on premium networks like Spotify, like Pandora, like SiriusXM. And what's nice about audio streaming specifically is you can reach users not only when they're in a static place, but when they're on the move too. There's a wide variety of different scenarios where someone may be streaming music, whether they are working out, whether they are studying, they have some music in the background to help them concentrate. And the same thing for podcasts as well. Someone could be in the car driving and listening to a podcast. I know I've done that personally several times as well. So it's nice that you're able to reach users wherever they are, even if they are on the move. And even further, a lot of these audio streaming platforms allows you not only to run audio-based ads, but they acknowledge the value of visuals. And a lot of these streaming platforms also offers the component of being allowed to run a video type of ad within your streaming campaign as well. And so no matter where a user is, what they are doing, the machine learning within the digital platforms can acknowledge, okay, this user is on this type of device or doing this type of activity. We should serve them an audio ad or a video ad, really allowing for a lot of efficiency and allowing users to get that information in the way that they're going to retain that information most effectively. So a lot of efficiency there. So now what? So you've heard a lot of great information throughout this workshop session so far in regards to the educational landscape and where it is today, who Gen Z and Gen Alpha are, how the college search journey has changed based off the results from our graduating seniors report, and of course now the benefits of audio video streaming. So Jamie, I wanted to make sure that you all left this session with some takeaways and action items that you can implement as early as tomorrow. So takeaway number one, reach prospects early. So based off our 2023 graduating seniors report, 54% started their college search before junior year, like Jamie highlighted earlier in this presentation. So it's not just about those juniors and seniors we've focused on in the past. We really need to reach these prospective students earlier in their high school career at the freshman and sophomore levels. So what you can do tomorrow is first evaluate your current targeting strategy. Are you currently running marketing initiatives that are reaching those younger freshmen and sophomore students? And if you're running any digital initiatives, also evaluate the digital channels you have ads running and evaluate if those are channels where young students are spending their time online. A good example of this is the LinkedIn platform. We love LinkedIn here at Carnegie. It serves so many great uses as a platform for higher education clients. However, if you are trying to reach more of a younger type of student, LinkedIn may not necessarily be the best platform to consider in this type of situation, just because it is more of that professional-based platform and probably not where young students are spending their time online. However, that is where streaming can come in. Based off our graduating seniors report, we now know that students are active on audio and video streaming platforms, and that's where they are spending their time each and every day. Which is a great segue into takeaway number two, and that streaming is more critical than ever. Based off our graduating seniors report, it is clear that video and audio streaming offers that ideal situation for online advertisers and higher education institutions where usership is high, but competition is low. And taking that even further with Gen Z specifically in the way that they've grown up with technology and now Gen Alpha, not only do they want to see videos from their higher education institutions they are considering, it's basically an expectation at this point, and it's important for schools to meet that demand. So what you can do tomorrow is first assess your video assets. Do you currently have videos on hand that can run within a video streaming campaign? And what is the state of your video presence online? When you're searching on platforms like Google and YouTube, do your videos show up for your institution? Another great option to enhance your video content moving forward is poll your current students and staff. These audiences have decided to either attend, work for your institution for one reason or another. So there may be some insights you can glean in terms of the types of content and value propositions to highlight in your videos moving forward that may resonate with prospective students in the future. And it's also important just to see what your peer and competitor institutions are putting out there online when it comes to videos, and how do your video assets specifically measure up. And the third takeaway, prospects crave personalized communication. So not only is it important when communicating with prospective Gen Z and Gen Alpha students online to take that individualized approach, but really any prospective student of any age online. And like we have now learned with this session, audio and video campaigns and the types of assets you are pushing to prospects really allows you to tell that personalized story in a really effective way. So what you can do tomorrow as you're assessing your current video and audio assets is also take it with the lens of, does these assets really tell the story of my institution's brand? If a prospective student hears my audio ad or sees my video ad, are they going to understand what our institution is all about? and as you were evaluating what's being put out there in the streaming world from peer and competitor institutions. Also, you can take it from the lens of, will my audio and video assets for my institution stand out in market compared to all the noise from the other peer competitor institutions that prospective students are seeing online as well? And that is it for our session. Alexa, I'm going to open up to you, see if we have any questions that Jamie and I could answer.
Sure, we have a couple. And the first one I'm going to pose to Jamie. A question in the chat is, how do college rankings play a role in decision making?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of those things where they're never really going away. And based on the survey that we did to graduating seniors, about 25% selected that it's still something they're considering as their college search process. So they're looking at those rankings, assessing them, and using that as part of how they're deciding the college they're going to go to. I will say this varies by audience. Obviously, there are certain pockets of international students that lean more heavily into rankings. It also can be a factor of program selection. Sometimes STEM programs or law programs, they'll lean heavier into rankings. But what I would say in terms of how we can influence that, since it's very difficult to change rankings year by year, is to lean into I think it was the number one key takeaway that we gave, which was to start earlier in the journey and build that relationship earlier. If you're starting to build that relationship and tell that story when students are just entering high school, you're going to have a lot more equity to lean into. That rankings aren't going to be as big of a factor when they're deciding to tour campus, and they're going to have more information to make that decision of where they want to go.
Great, thank you, Jamie. We have a couple more. I think this next one, Steph, will be for you. When advertising to Gen Z and Alpha, should the tone of messaging be more casual and less salesy than previous generations?
Yeah, I would say so, especially with the rise of other video-based social platforms like TikTok. We found that more organic type video content works very well, not only in a social media setting, but in a video streaming as well. Anything that you can do to make your video content feel less ad-like is going to do you a lot better service when it comes to promoting content to prospective students online. So even here at Carnegie, a lot of the times, sometimes we'll use a high-performing TikTok ad and run it for a video streaming campaign for like pre-rolling YouTube. And it tends to perform very well because these prospective students aren't feeling like they're hit with another ad online. They're feeling like they're getting personalized content that was made and sent to them on purpose that is geared towards them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Have you seen any universities, Steph, utilize Twitch?
Yes, so we've had a few universities within our client portfolio that has used Twitch. They were really geared towards either two different things that I called out within this presentation. Either they were really looking to reach younger audiences. With digital privacy, it's getting harder and harder each year to reach those under the age of 18. Because of digital privacy. So, I mean, a lot of options are kind of getting eliminated from the list, if you will, when it comes to how we can target those younger high school students, especially given the results from our graduating seniors report. It is important to reach them earlier. So we found it's worked really well for our clients when it comes to that younger audience. And again, we've had a few situations where we promoted a gaming-based program on Twitch too, and seen a lot of success because it really resonated, because it was a program that really met to the interest of those are on that Twitch platform.
Great. And then a final question, what is your best advice? Maybe this is a wild card, either of you can chime in here, but what is your best advice for small university programs trying to create a social media and ad presence? So small programs, small university trying to create ad and social ad presence for their programs.
Yeah, I'll take the first step at this wild card. Maybe then Jamie, you can cap things off. I would say if resources are limited, definitely use what you have on hand, meaning students. We've seen with some of our higher education clients when funds are a little bit strapped or the resources just aren't there to create a lot of different types of social and video type of content to put out there. We found that just allowing your student volunteers to help you out and create some of that organic video content allows you to have some of those assets to put out there to establish your presence more online.
And I'd recommend starting with 1 or 2 channels and really leaning into those. And that involves both creating of content and a content strategy, but also assessing your competitors and their presence in those specific channels so you can kind of round out your approach.
Great. Those are the questions that are for, I would say, for our speakers. Thank you so much. That was so incredibly interesting. And I can't believe we're already talking about Generation Alpha. I feel like we're just learning how to deal with Generation Z. And here we are. They're 12 and they're coming. So we're ready for them. In closing, just some housekeeping notes that all of these slides and the recordings will be available to you on the Whova app. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And we hope that you found the workshop, whether you came to one session or the whole day, very useful and the content valuable. And we hope to see you on another event really soon. Thank you all.